Hi. All right. It's quick, but we're going to come back right now for season 1, episode 2 of Seeking Sister. I'm sorry, season 5, episode 2 of Seeking Sister Wives. Because it's already out and I wanted to get it done. You can see someone came to join. It's Graham. He is getting so stinking big, guys. I saw a picture I took of him as a puppy, and I have no idea how he is this big already, other than he very well might be a Great Dane mix, which is what one of the vets that we saw thought that he might be. Hi. I say one up because we took him to a shot clinic, so there's a couple different vets there. They were all very kind. But he's here. He's going to try and be polite and not do anything too gross or naughty. Yeah. Um, yeah, if you're new here, hi, I'm Cozy. I like to snark about reality TV here on YouTube. I do want to remind you that these videos are for entertainment purposes only. These are not facts, they're just my opinions about public figures sharing their lives publicly. So if we're cool, we're cool. Okay, so a couple of things to take care of before we jump into the episode. Everyone's been saying, your hair looks so great. It does, and I will tell you this. Y'all, get yourself one of those headband heatless roller things. I got mine for $1 on clearance at Dollar General. Huge difference. Oh my goodness, my hair is so much happier. Thing number 2, this right here on my neck is not anything crazy. I have a little bit of spider bite, so we're just going to pretend we don't see it. But I wanted to call it now before somebody's like, what happened to you? It was spider bite. Things happen. So those are my 2 big things. We're going to hop into this, finish this off, and then I saw you guys are really excited about the idea of doing My 5 Wives, so I'm going to go and start filming the first episode of that one pretty quick. We'll get that one up super duper fast because that's one of my favorite shows after Sister Wives is My 5 Wives. So we'll do that, and it's probably going to be, I don't know, probably not a ton longer, but at least a little bit longer before we start bringing Sister Wives back on the channel, just to give everybody some time to breathe and to just have a little bit of space. So that's what we're going to do. So let's hop in with the Davis family. Like last time, I'm just going to go family by family, not by the exact order of how things went in the show, because I think that's just easier for us to all understand. So in the Davis home, Nick is so excited to show off Vera, and he is dressed to the nines. He's like, I take the honor of being a stay-at-home dad super seriously. And to be able to stay at home with Vera is so exciting to him. He wants to dress the part. So he dresses like he's going to the office so that he can spend time with his little girl. And it is so cute because they are dressed in color coordination. He's wearing pink and black, she's wearing pink and black, and they are adorable. And Vera is super excited when Jennifer gets home. She's banging on her little tray on her high chair where she's sitting while Nick gets dinner started. And he's like, listen, we went to the park and we were going to try the twisty slide, but it was a no-go. I get it. My kids were not thrilled about twisty slide until they were a little bit older. So Jennifer's like, have you talked to Danielle at all today? And I'm just wondering how Danielle's feeling. And it's a little like, hey, you need to get her in line kind of, but also a little bit sort of concerned. And he's like, you know what? Yeah, I had a little bit of a talk and it was super serious. And she's just expressing some feelings that she's not ready. She's hesitating on adding another wife. And he's like, I thought things were moving along really steadily. I thought that this was going really well, but things haven't been perfect, I'll be honest. So Danielle hesitating at the idea of the family expanding. It seems kind of a natural side to that if things are not going as well as maybe they would like it to be. But Jennifer's like, listen, if she's having any concerns about dating, that's concerning to me because we explained to her at the beginning that we're going to keep seeking until our family's complete. So Nick asks her, do you think we're doing this too quickly? And Jennifer really does hesitate here, and she kind of pulls back, and then she says, I don't think so, because she knew from the beginning, we told her from the beginning that we were going to keep looking. We want you, we love you, but we're going to keep expanding. So there's no way for it to be too soon. And Nick's like, I'm super hopeful for the right person, but I understand that Danielle kind of must feel a little bit like, I don't get it. Why am I not good enough? Why we have the 3 of us, we're really happy together. Why am I not good enough, right? And so Jennifer's like, maybe she's just not cut out for this lifestyle, which is entirely possible. She might not be. But Nick thinks that maybe Danielle just needs to be honest with herself and really think about what it is she wants, feels, and is comfortable with. But things are definitely tense. As they're preparing to film, Nick calls the producers and says, Danielle moved out. Yeah, a few days after this conversation, it sounds like, and everybody was in tears as Nick's trying to explain that he was lying down with Vera downstairs, and he heard some commotion upstairs, and when he came up, all of the plants were gone off the windowsill. And he sees that here comes Danielle back in from the car, and he's like, hey, what's going on? Where are the plants? And she's like, I'm leaving. I got an apartment. I'm moving out. Okay. And April's like, what did you say to her? And he's like, I guess I just sort of told her I loved her and that I was here for her and I didn't really understand, and watched her take things to the car, and within an hour she was gone. And he's like, I could tell that she was struggling, but I feel like the rug's been pulled out from under me. And we've heard that before, where somebody knew somebody was struggling and the rug got pulled out from under them because they didn't pay attention or listen to the person's actual struggles. So, come here, Bubba. Sorry, he is all over the place today. So, April's like, or I'm sorry, Jennifer's like, what could I have done better? What could I have done that could have stopped this? What could I have done to do better or be better? Hi. And April's like, I don't know if that's it. Maybe she just needs a monogamous relationship. Maybe it's not that we don't, hold up to that standard. Maybe she's just not prepared to live a life like this. But Jennifer is heartbroken that there were no goodbyes. She didn't say anything. And of course, in typical reality TV fashion, we get notification sound, and April's like, Danielle just messaged me. Sure, that probably was not the case, but still. And she's like, I love you all. I have things to figure out. It's never going to change that I love you. And the women are clearly devastated. They actually look a lot more emotional about this than Nick does. Nick almost seems like he doesn't care, but April and Jennifer are really, really upset. And she's like, I think that we need to let her know that she's welcome to come back. This doesn't have to be a forever thing. And Nick's like, I'm going to try and reach out, and maybe Danielle will be willing to talk. But Nick says that the family's everything, and that this isn't just the loss of a wife, this is the loss of a mother too. Because Vera and William, the family's oldest child, who doesn't show up on the show, so I didn't really talk much about him for his own privacy, but I also almost kind of forgot that he was there because he doesn't show up on the show, have lost a mom, and they don't know how to handle that. And so Jennifer's like, I don't understand why Danielle left without talking to us first. And Nick takes most of the blame on himself and says he should have known and tried to handle it as the head of the household. And he tells the ladies they just need to maintain for the time being. And you know what? Honestly, I will take that response of, it was my fault, I should have done better, over the response that we've had on certain other shows of, it's never my fault and I don't need to be better. So then we're going to head over to the Salahuddin family. And the dinner with Naeem's mother is not going very well at all. Nyla shares that she feels very strongly that Keisha is the right person for them. And when they bring up seeing the benefit, Jamaila's like, yeah, I bet you do, to Naeem. And he's like defending it, saying, no, my benefit is a bigger family, more love to go around. And Jamaila says, girl, get a dog. And Nyla immediately shoots back with cat. And I know that in Islam, you're not supposed to have dogs living in your home, which, that's fine. Cats are fine for them. So I assume that's why Nyla said it. But the fact that Jamaila goes and doubles down is like, get a dog, cat, whatever, makes me sort of wonder if perhaps Jamaila's stepped away from the faith. And the idea of religious polygamy isn't an argument that's going to work for her. I don't know one way or the other, but it does sort of make sense that that wouldn't be an argument that would work for her and explain things to her if she's not interested in the religion any longer. So Naeem accuses her of being closed-minded, and she counters with, if I were that closed-minded, I wouldn't be sitting here at this table trying to talk to you. And she's like, you think because you want to do this, everyone around you has to approve of it. And they're like, we don't need you to approve. We don't need you to approve at all. And Naeem's like, I don't care what people think about me. You don't like what I'm doing? I don't have to waste my energy talking to you. Naeem, honey, I hate to tell you, it doesn't track 100% with this conversation because it does feel like the two of you are very defensive and would very much so like your mother to approve of exactly what you're doing. And so Nyla technically is doing the most talking, but it does feel like they'd like that approval. So Jamaila's like, you want everyone to embrace it. And again, they disagree, but I think deep down in their souls, they do. They would like people to be on their side. And he says, I don't care whether you like it or not. And he just keeps repeating that he doesn't care. But it does really feel like he loves his mom and he wants his mom to approve of the choices that he makes. He's like, I'm just trying to give you a warning so that you're not surprised when something happens. And she kind of hesitates a little bit. And he's like, because there's a woman we've been dealing with down in Georgia. And Jamaila is like, excuse me, what? She is not thrilled, but she asks a lot of questions. She turns to Nyla and she's like, is she attractive? Did you pick her out? And Nyla's like, we didn't pick her. We just sort of formed a bond. And Jamaila's like, how can you form a bond? She's really incredulous. She's like, how can you form a bond? You've never even met. She's like, well, online. And of course, Jamaila's like, online, okay. And I get it, because a lot of people are like, how can you form that much of a bond with somebody online? I don't know. Maybe millennials are just more open to it because we've grown up with the internet. I feel like as much as, you and I don't know each other in real life necessarily, there are several of you who comment who give me little insights, and I feel like, oh, that's so wonderful. I'm so glad to know you, kind of thing. So, just know I am glad to know you. And so, that Nyla kind of explains, we've met online, we've known each other for a few months. We didn't want to bring this up until we were sure about something, and Jamaila is definitely not impressed. She asks if they're going to be living separately or in one home, and Naeem's like, of course we're going to live in one home, we're one big family. And Jamaila's like, that's it, I'm done, I don't want to hear any more about this. And she just sort of shuts down. Now, of course, they do keep talking, but in her confessional, she's like, I'm going to be honest, I need to give this whole thing a lot of consideration. I am not optimistic for what's going to happen here. She is very much so on the fence that this is a bad idea. So let's go to the Merrifields. The Merrifields, I have a lot to say about. And I realized, I was talking to my husband, and I was like, why do these two make me so angry compared to the other families? And I understand exactly what it is now. And I'm going to share it with you, and maybe you guys won't agree with me, or you won't feel similarly. Graham, stop that. Thank you. I don't know what he's doing, but he needs to stop. So with the Merrifields, the thing that bothers me is that they have taken religious polygamy and Christianity and kind of twisted my beliefs to be something that I feel is really pretty blasphemous. The other families, I don't feel like I can comment as much. They're either not out here espousing religious polygamy, or they are from a background that I have no experience with. So maybe I'm less snarky, maybe I'm more snarky. But if you don't like my snark with the Merrifields, I understand. But we jump right back into Sam, who is telling Garrick to his face he is insane for picking another woman from Brazil, and gives him the definition of insanity as doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And Danielle tells Samantha that Natalia, sorry guys, this dog, I swear, that Natalia seems super sweet. And Samantha's like, yeah, they've all seemed super sweet. She privately tells the camera that she thinks that they're crazy. Danielle and Garrick are crazy. And she's probably not wrong, because historically this has gone really, really bad for both of them. Samantha tries to be super reasonable. And she's like, listen, maybe it's just a bad taste in my mouth from Roberta. Maybe that's what it is. But she feels like history is about to repeat itself. She tells Danielle, I think this is bad. I think you guys really need to take a lot of time and do not propose yet. And really, don't let her just jump into bed with Garrick, because we know that the intimacy happened very quickly with Roberta previously. It was actually a massive issue. And the second massive issue was the language barrier. So when Samantha says, does Natalia speak English? And Danielle's like, no, not really. She's like, wasn't that a huge issue before? You guys couldn't communicate, and now you're doing this again where you can't communicate. Bringing someone into your family who you can't actually have a conversation with is not going to go well. Granted, Natalia doesn't have to learn English. They could learn some Portuguese, but it doesn't seem like anybody has taken the time to try to really dive in to be able to communicate at all. So Sam calls out Garrick by pointing out that the big problem with Roberta was that language barrier. And Garrick, of course, is like, no, it wasn't. Roberta was just a deceiver, a trickster. She just wanted our money. And I don't know, maybe that's the case. Maybe it's not, but they certainly didn't do any better for themselves by trying to use Google Translate to have simple conversations. I don't know. But Danielle's like, I don't know. I'm very apprehensive about us dating abroad again, and I wonder if we should try again. And Garrick jumps immediately to, well, maybe she's lying, maybe she wants to scam us, that's why we're apprehensive. I don't think that's it at all. I think Danielle genuinely doesn't want to do this. And Danielle's like, I swear we're not stupid, but girl, I'm not one to call people stupid. I'm not. But honey, what you're doing is kind of stupid. You yourself might not be, but your actions are not smart. All of this, the Seeking, the television show, the potentially fraudulent divorce, all of it seems to be shredding what little bit of sanity you have left. and the little bit of happiness you guys seem to have in your lives, because you've admitted before you two weren't very happy. But Danielle lets Samantha know that it's been 4 whole months of talking to Natalia, and they are planning to go to Mexico to meet her. And this is the same thing they did with Roberta, because they claim that it's really hard for Brazilians to come to the United States, but it's easy to get into Mexico. Remember that. Samantha asks if she's really comfortable dating right now, and Danielle's like, no, if it were up to me, I'd wait. I'm not ready. And so she says, it's really hard for me to trust ever again. Danielle feels like her heart and her mind are still wrapped up in what happened with Roberta, and Garrick is looking to move on quickly just to take everyone's mind off of it. And I am simply laughing at this jump where Danielle says, I think we need to be smarter and think it all through. And Sam says to Garrick, are you going to be smart this time? This show's too good. At least certain things anyway. So Sam specifically asks about sending this girl money. Have you sent her any money? Is she asking for money? And Garrick's like, of course she's not. Of course I haven't. And they're, okay, that's good. But Sam wants to know about Natalia. Is she working? Is she not? And Garrick's like, she just finished law school and she's going to have to find a job. And Sam's like, whoa. She needs to find a job. She's trying to find a job. You know she's found a job. And Garrick's like, oh, I didn't ask her. And Sam's like, how do you not ask these important questions ever? You just never ask. Whew. Garrick and Danielle have a home, have a business, have children, have business partners. And here they are doing all of this craziness without a thought in the world, expecting it to work out all rainbows, bunnies, and butterflies without doing any of the hard work. And it's driving me up the wall watching them, I swear. And so Sam doesn't agree with Garrick that this is a great idea. He thinks that Garrick is super forgiving, but that this is definitely not smart. Sam keeps pushing to make sure that he takes the time to get to know her. And so he says, hey, how is she getting to Mexico? And Garrick's like, oh yeah, we're paying for it. And he's like, that's giving her money. And so I think Sam is like really right to be concerned because he's the business partner and Garrick is making really bad financial decisions. And so when you have somebody who seems to be the behind the desk guy, the like more books guy, making bad financial decisions in his life, it's really hard to trust he's going to make good financial decisions for your business. So, gosh. Okay. So Garrick, Danielle tells Samantha that Garrick is pretty much ready to propose. And Samantha's like, this is exactly like the last time. Like, I'm almost starting to feel like these two deserve whatever they get because they are not thinking this through. The lack of foresight and responsibility is absolutely astonishing to me. I just can't handle it. And yeah, I've said before that my husband and I decided we were going to get married within 6 months of dating. And yeah, I know it is possible to move quickly and have a perfectly healthy, functioning relationship. The difference is my husband and I were from the same place. Like, we grew up in the same city. We never met each other, but we grew up together, like, at the same place. We speak the same language. We're able to communicate. We're able to do all of these things. And we've been married now for almost 7 years. Things worked out really well for us. That does not mean it works for everybody. At any rate. Oh, goodness gracious. So Danielle pulls back and she's like, well, we're not guaranteeing that Garrick's going to propose. And I notice, interestingly, Garrick always says, we're going to propose, meaning he and Danielle, where Danielle always says Garrick. Garrick is going to propose. So, but she does admit Garrick made a ring for her. It's ugly. I'm going to tell you the truth. It's ugly. That's all you need to know. It's shaped like a flower. The gemstone colors are bad. It's ugly. So, almost as ugly as a horse ring. At any rate. So if I were Samantha, I don't know if I could be as diplomatic as she's being in this moment, because I would be taking Danielle to go get checked out. Not because I would be like, you're just crazy pants, but the words she's speaking and the actions she's displaying are so vastly different, I'd be worried that maybe, just maybe, she fell and hit her head. Just saying. So, because the wires aren't crossing, guys. And I can't blame them, like I said, for being worried. You have a financial vested interest in this business, and the guy you're working with is showing no ability to seem to understand that what he's up to might be of a detriment to people. But Samantha's like, listen, Garrick and Danielle are moving way too fast. like way too fast. And Danielle seems to agree. Yeah, he is. He's moving too quickly. I'm not comfortable here. I feel like Garrick, but she's like, I feel like Garrick's already in love with Natalia, and he's going to want to propose as soon as we get down there. And I'm still devastated from the last time. And I'm glad she can admit that what Roberta did with them really has had an impact on her mental and physical well-being, honestly, because Danielle's looking a little worse for wear. I'll be honest. She looks like maybe she's not eating as well as she could be and taking care of herself as well as she could be. That's not to say she's, doing anything wrong. I'm just concerned about her. So Sam's like, if you hurt my sister again, I'm going to bury you. End of discussion. And Garrick's like, whoa, 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 I didn't hurt her. That was Roberta. Garrick, you are the one, just like Sam is about to tell you, you're the one looking for all these women. You're the one chasing all of this around. This is on you, broski. It just is. And Sam's like, if you're going to do it differently. And then he says, but if you're not, and we never get to find out what the rest of all of this is. Because Garrick cuts off before Garrick and Sam finish things off. Danielle, going back home, offers Garrick a drink when he gets back to the house. And they head outside to discuss their conversations with Sam and Samantha. And Danielle's like, I think we need to discuss where our thoughts are about this trip to meet Natalia. It is very clear they are not even close to being on the same page. Danielle, not cool with this. Garrick, all the way in. And Garrick kind of blows off Sam and Samantha's concerns by going, okay, yeah, I guess, whatever. But he does mention factors like Sam thinks that history is repeating, and Danielle's like, yeah, Samantha thinks so too. She also brings up that Samantha feels like maybe they should wait to propose and to be intimate, and I think she's purposely saying that Samantha sees the value in these things because I think she is really struggling to tell Garrick the truth. I think she's really struggling to tell him she's not comfortable, she's not ready, she doesn't want this, because it feels like she's been telling him over and over and over again, and he is ignoring what she's saying. Because every single confessional week with Danielle is going to just be her repeating, I'm apprehensive, I'm concerned, I'm not comfortable. So I'm not going to go through every single confessional repeating that, but just know, basically every time you see Danielle on screen, she is saying, I'm apprehensive, I'm uncomfortable, I'm not okay. But Garrick shows literally no emotion really when she's talking, and she looks like she's on the verge of tears. And Danielle keeps saying over and over and over and over again that she's not sure about Natalia's intentions. And so she says to Garrick, things seem like they're good right now, and I feel like God wants us to do this. Spoiler alert, he doesn't. But she's afraid and needs to get to know her better. And Garrick is super firm. He's like, when God tells you what to do, you do it. Yeah, when God tells you what to do, not when Garrick does. Just saying. And so he says that God met us in the garage one day and was just filled with the peace and presence of God and told them that this is what they were supposed to do. Danielle, her face does not agree with this. It does not look like whatever moment Garrick had in the garage went to Danielle solely. But he's like, yeah, they're both saying don't propose, hold off, be thoughtful. And he's like, yeah, but I'm going to propose anyway. Because the future's at hand. This man will never learn. He will never learn, and the same things are going to keep repeating in his life over and over and over and over again. Because he's like, listen, Natalia and her mother are going to show us who they really are in Mexico. No, sir, because when you meet somebody for the first time, you don't meet them. You meet their representative. Everyone wants to make a great first impression. I'll be honest. I am the kind of person where my representative and me are basically the same person. You're probably not going to be getting that much different. I might use slightly more polite wording with certain things, but frankly, I'm kind of the same person. The first time I met my husband, he was telling me about his ex-girlfriend, and I was like, ooh, honey, that's awful. Like, I didn't even stop. That was one of our very first conversations, with me telling him that his ex-girlfriend was awful. So, I'm kind of who I am all the time. But, for the most part, you meet somebody's representative. You're not going to know all the deep intricacies of somebody just from meeting them and shaking their hand for the first time. And Danielle's like, Garrick doesn't agree with me. He's going to propose. Like, she's already seeming to be panicking that he's just going to propose and not listen to her. And this trip, she's like, this trip to Mexico is too soon. And as anxious as we are to add another wife, we really need to think this through. But the Merrifields are off to Mexico again, and they're taking their kids because they feel so strongly about Natalia. And I hate that a lot. These poor boys have been through it once with Roberta, and this can't be good with them. Or good for them. And Garrick says, a lot could happen. We could be adding another wife, a sister. It's so super important to bring the boys. This guy brings out the worst in me every time I see his face. I swear. So Natalia insists that they go to a different part of Mexico than where they went with Roberta. And Garrick's like, of course, because that makes sense. Because it's too awkward to go to Cabo, we'll go to Cancun. I've never been to either place, but I'm wondering what's so special about Cancun that's where Natalia feels like she needs to go. So Danielle's like, yeah, I think we're both a little bit nervous about meeting Roberta for the first time. And then she realizes she said the wrong name and starts laughing awkwardly. And Garrick kind of just doesn't do anything at first. And then when the camera gets to him a second time, he's like, It is so, these two, I don't know what it is, but I don't know if I feel like I'm watching aliens or robots or what it is, but they are uncomfortable. Ugh. So Danielle's like, what if Garrick likes her and I don't? Or what if we need to wait? And Garrick brushes it off, being like, well, fear is no reason not to do something. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I can think of a laundry list of things you don't do because you're afraid. Okay? She is, oh my gosh. Danielle has asked this man probably 80,000 times, what if it's too soon? What if we should wait? And he's like, well, it's a blessing even if we don't. Danielle, baby girl, he does not care about you. He does not care about your thoughts, your opinions, or your feelings. You're already legally divorced. Walk away. They arrive in Cancun the day before Natalia and her mother, and it actually looks really lovely. Like I said, I've never been to Mexico, but it looks beautiful. And so, I mean, honestly, I'd go. But Garrick's like, Danielle and Natalia have really connected. No, they haven't. Danielle is begging you not to do this. Nobody speaks the same language as her. And he's like, I'm still planning to propose. Garrick insists that everyone is so excited to meet Natalia. And so Danielle's like, yeah, are you excited? And the boys are like, yeah, sure. And the oldest says, yeah, you're probably way more excited than us. Danielle thinks that because of losing Roberta, the boys are really disheartened and they're really distrustful and they don't know that they can trust anybody to stick around. She also uses the word apprehensive for them. Danielle says that they've settled into the hotel room and they're just waiting for Natalia and her mother to arrive to board that plane to get to Mexico. And she's like, this is our first serious relationship since Roberta, and I'm super hopeful. Well, at 5:45 in the morning, when they call producers in to let them know that Natalia isn't getting on to the flight, Danielle is in the background just saying over and over again she doesn't understand. She's super blindsided. And they're like, apparently she needs a visa to get on the plane. So Danielle sets up two phones to translate. One to actually have Natalia on, and the other to translate what Natalia's saying and what they're saying back to her. And Garrick's like, listen, we're trying to figure this out, love. And Danielle just looks absolutely resigned that she was right about everything not working. Danielle says that the laws are changing and Brazilians apparently need a visa to come to Mexico instead of just a passport. The Brazilian airport's saying she needs this visa. The Mexican government doesn't seem to say anything on their website, but the Brazilians are claiming it's the Mexicans' fault. The Mexicans don't seem to be saying much of anything, and no one knows what's happening. And they are having very clear translation issues. Danielle's trying to talk to her. It's not working. The translation app's not working. The producers are like, I don't know. It works for us just fine. And it's clear Garrick's been crying this whole time. And they are both thinking maybe some dishonesty's happening. And she's like, I don't know if it's going to be possible to get on the plane. But listen, I'll call you back in 20 minutes and let you know. And that's where we end with them for this one. And then we head over to the Sherwood family. And the Sherwood family is having a little bit of difficulty because it's finally time for Shane, if you'll remember, this is Shane and Ashley, for Shane to meet Grace. Ashley and Grace have been dating for a few months, and it is past time. Grace has been really hesitant in meeting Shane, and Ashley feels like that's kind of the missing piece to the puzzle. The meeting's super awkward. And Shane's like, oh yeah, we met before at the wedding. And he's like, this is kind of like meeting the other person in Ashley's life. I feel really, really nervous, but I'm happy that we're here. Um, and Shane agrees in the confessional with Ashley that yes, Grace is very attractive. And so Grace is trying to set him at ease. She's like, I'm an open book. Ask me anything. So he jokingly is like, oh, where was your first kiss? Just trying to like lighten the mood. And he's like, no, I'm joking. You don't have to answer it. But Ashley's like, oh, I was in 3rd grade on the playground. And Shane and Grace are both like 6th grade, which was kind of cool that they had that in common. And I'm starting to feel a little late to the game because I was a sophomore in high school. And that is one of my most awkward stories. Listen, band practice was weird. I don't know what to tell you. It's a whole story. If y'all want to hear it, I'll make a video at some point and tell you my stupid story. It's fine. But I was a really awkward kid in middle school, so I can't say I'm surprised that would happen. Grace said that her first kiss was with another girl. And she shares, I haven't always just dated women, but until recently, she hasn't always just dated women. It wasn't really until recently that she kind of started this journey. And she's like, so ethical non-monogamy is something that you get into in this community a lot. I don't know. Not part of it. I can't say for sure if that's the case, but it does seem that it is becoming more and more prevalent with the advent of the internet, so I don't know. When I met Ashley, I was willing to give all of this a try. They order their food and it is super awkward. She orders a salad. Grace orders a salad looking for something vegan, soy, and dairy-free. I understand. I don't eat dairy. I try to limit my soy intake. I'm not vegan, but I am lactose intolerant. So I understand trying to find food that is appropriate for your dietary needs. Especially now with all this going on, and there might or might not potentially be links to soybeans and weight gain, and it's a whole mess. Anyway, so Shane orders steak tips, which looked fantastic. And Ashley, I think, gets gnocchi, which also looked really good. And so it's really awkward as they're ordering their food. It almost feels like there's a little bit of disconnect in with the whole like, oh, maybe this is awkward because she's vegan or not. I don't know. But there feels like some tension in the air as they're ordering their food. And Shane's like, listen, I think that Grace not wanting to meet me is a huge red flag. Agreed. And he's like, he brings that up to her in an effort to be open. He's like, listen, it really threw me off that you had no desire to meet me whatsoever. And he's like, I feel really cast aside. And Grace is like, what are you talking about? I was at your wedding. And Shane's like, yes, but you weren't dating my wife at my wedding. Honestly, I'm going to tell you right here, right now, in this entire thing, I'm going to side with Shane. I'm biased. You're going to figure that out. But I side with Shane in the whole interaction. And so Grace is like, well, how does that feel to you? Honey, he literally just told you he feels cast aside and like you're trying to steal his wife. He just told you that. So, Grace is like, it's really awkward having Shane here. Because typically I wouldn't care if somebody likes me or not, but I really kind of want this to work out with Ashley, so I really need to get along with Shane. And Shane's like, hey, I noticed you guys don't seem to have a ton of physical attraction. And, like, Grace and Ashley kind of toss this around as, like, the hot potato of no one wants to answer this. And no one actually does. No one ever actually answers why they seem not to have a physical connection. And so he moves on to trying to find out more about Grace. And she shares she's a coach in the personal development field, meaning that she offers spiritual guidance to entrepreneurs to remove blocks and belief systems, this is her words, that hold them back from achieving their best life. I don't know what that means. She's like, I communicate or channel with the universe. I don't know what that means. And Shane's like, oh, that's interesting. And I feel immediately the defenses go up on Grace. As she's like, oh, it's interesting to see how you react to this. And that's why I'm taking it slow. And he's like, I'm listening, but I'm not a spiritual person. And she's like, well, it sounds like you don't believe it. So that's interesting. I don't believe it either. Am I interesting too? Like, I don't know. I don't expect here. I don't expect people to believe in the same deity that I believe in. I don't expect you to have the same belief system that I have. I just don't. But it is definitely not how I would respond to someone who is just trying to listen to me. I actually feel like Shane's being fairly diplomatic when he's like, no, I don't believe it, but I also don't understand it. And I really think that's kind of a decent way to handle it because he's being honest. I don't believe it. I don't understand it. You need to help me understand. And Grace does not seem open to helping him understand at all. And so he's like, she's like, I feel really judged by Shane. And it was interesting watching him just shut down. So when he's like, okay, so what, you try to help people by helping them understand that there's a higher power? And she's like, no. Okay. I don't get it. I don't understand. Does she help people meditate? Like, I don't get it. And she equates it to going to therapy. And he tries to explain that from his perception, therapy is where you go talk to somebody and they fix your problems, or rather you fix your problems through them helping you understand. And she's like, have you ever been to therapy before? And he's like, no. And she's like, well, that shows. Oh my gosh. And Shane's like, listen, I just don't agree that there's a higher power that can give you signs or any of those things that make your life better. I think you do it for yourself. And in confessional, Shane's like, yeah, Grace seems really stuck up. He tries to bring Ashley into the conversation, and she's like, I've been eating and thinking you two were just going to have cold food, which for Grace would be fine because she's having a salad. And Grace asks Shane, what brought you to this lifestyle? What made you think this is a great idea? And he's like, I just want Ashley to be happy most of all. And I want her to be happy with whoever she chooses. And he does say there's been a bit of a failure in his opinion because it feels like Ashley's living two separate lives. Shane and Grace had not met. And so Ashley's like, wow, there's so much tension on both ends, and I feel like I need to be on both people's side. And so all of a sudden, the lunch just ends super awkwardly, and they all hug goodbye. And Grace is like, well, it would have been nice if Ashley interjected more because Shane's present. And she's like, I wonder if it was Shane's presence that made her seem so reserved because she seems so open to spirituality when it's just us. And so she's like, maybe Ashley and Shane just aren't on the same page they think they are. And alone, Shane says to Ashley, that was super awkward. And Ashley does not respond well to Shane, in my opinion. She kind of just blows it off. Like, oh yeah, that was awkward, but it's to be expected. And Shane's super honest in saying he doesn't know if he can get on board with all of it. And Ashley says that Grace meeting Shane went really badly. It was a huge train wreck. And so she's like, listen, there were sides to Grace I hadn't even seen yet. And she points out that Grace was really disrespectful to her husband. And yeah, she was. You probably should have said something. Good for you for pointing it out on the couch, but you needed to say something in the moment, Ashley. And so Shane awkwardly is trying to explain that his position of thinking that they would be closer to each other. They would seem to have more of a connection, but this was more like having dinner with a friend. And Ashley's like, yeah, that's kind of the norm for the two ladies. And Shane's like, I don't see you giddy, happy, in love, any of these things. I just am not sure. And he's like, I see a few red flags. And the first being, she didn't want to meet me. And he feels like she's kind of full of herself. He doesn't really get the life coaching aspect or thinking she's some kind of therapist. And he even says to Ashley, you went to school for 12 years to be a psychiatrist, and this woman has no formal training. Like, you did 12 years of training for this. And Ashley's like, yeah, the spirituality conversation's uncomfortable for me. And she kind of laughs, which is interesting since Grace seems to think Ashley's really open to it. And Ashley here is basically telling Shane she isn't, which kind of does feel like maybe Ashley's sort of leading this secret double life. I can't say for sure. It's still early. But Shane gets super sarcastic. It's like, yeah, I could tell. Thanks for jumping in there. You know what? Honestly, I feel like it's fair of him to be a touch snarky because she did leave him high and dry. And knowing that Ashley is a psychiatrist, she could have stepped in when Grace got really huffy with Shane about whether or not he had been to therapy. And he's like, Ashley being super tense through all of this, it's definitely a red flag for me. Like, there should be an element of Ashley being able to be comfortable with whoever she's introducing me to. And he says he feels like Grace is kind of like, yeah, we can share Ashley and it's cool if we're friends, but I'd really like her to like me a lot more than she likes you. I don't know. Ashley's like, listen, I feel like you guys could have discussed the color of the sky and there would have been judgment. Probably. And he's like, I don't want someone in our life who seeks to undermine what we already have. And Ashley's like, I need time to decide about Grace because I don't want to make a decision in emotion. And Shane's like, well, it's a no from me. And Ashley says, I respect that, but I'm going to have to take it into consideration. And Shane's super honest when he's like, I don't see what Ashley must see in Grace, because I'm surprised she's considering moving forward, considering that I'm a no. And I hold to my prediction that this will not work out at all. And that is the end of that episode. These families are definitely a lot more drama and a lot more insanity than some of the other shows that I watch. I'm really excited to get back to My Five Wives because that one is a lot calmer. I don't feel like it's going to raise my blood pressure when I watch it. But if you enjoyed this video, go ahead, leave a like. You can subscribe if you want to. I'm super excited to be here with you guys. And yeah, I'm having a great time. So I will get the rest of these watched. Well, not watched, I guess. Like, Seeking Sister Wife isn't on again yet. But I'll get the rest of these things kind of, you know, our notes written out, get the rest of the videos filmed, and come back to you guys as soon as possible. I hope you guys enjoyed Graham and his little dreamy barks. This dog will sleep through anything. I could potentially set off an alarm in this room right now, and he would just lay here. He's such a sweet boy. So I hope you... Well, I got side-eyed. I hope you guys really enjoyed him being here, and I can't wait to see you guys soon. Bye!